Well, now I gotta add those sunglasses to my wish list for Christmas. The Witch's Familiar. So after getting a much bigger, much more active, and generally much more positive response to the last Doctor Who episode video that I did than to anyone but prior to that, I guess I'm just gonna do spoiler videos from now on. So that's your warning. This is a really terrific wrap-up from The Magician's Apprentice. I love it just right off the bat, how it starts, how it builds, how it plays out. I love almost everything about this episode. There's some nitpicky things, and I'll get to those, but right off the bat, establishing Missy, Clara, they're alive, which I called, you'll remember I called that. And I even called that it was the same thing that she did when Death in Heaven happened, and I was right on all that, so yay me. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but it feels nice to get that validation. I really like Missy in this. I mean, I've enjoyed Missy up to this point. I know she rubbed some people the wrong way, but I've liked her up to this point. This episode, I loved her. I love her and Clara paired together, and just the nature of them going back and forth. The fact that Clara does not want to have anything to do with her, but is stuck with her. And you see these sort of adversarial relationships every now and then. But I can't think of too many other examples where it's done like this, with Missy giving Clara so many reasons to just walk away from this woman. Like, if I were to compare it to something like, say, Loki and Thor teaming up in Thor the Dark World, in that one, which I think is sort of emblematic of most of the times you see this sort of, a bad guy teams up with a good guys type situation. The point is usually to have the bad guy really seem to truly be on the side of the good guy, so that when they inevitably turn around at the end, it feels more of it feels like more of a betrayal, even if you're expecting it. This goes completely the opposite way. We get reminded like every 5 minutes what a horrible idea it is to have Missy right there next to you. And I really like that, just from her casually pushing Clara down into the sewer, threatening her with the pointy stick, and I would very much like the pointy stick to come back and be like Missy's new trademark. I like that stick. I like a lot of what goes on when Clara is inside the Dalek, and I'm sure there are some people who call that so ridiculous. I mean, that's long established. There's classic era episodes where humans got into Dalek tanks. But what I like is that the tank is automatically twisting her words into something more Dalek. In some cases, the exact opposite of what she's saying, like, I am your friend, I am your enemy. Like, I love that. And not to mention, it's quite a lovely callback to Asylum of the Daleks and that version of Clara, Oswin, which was in fact turned into a Dalek. What I really love in this episode, I love the Doctor. I think, definitely as of right now, this is going to be the episode that to me defines Capaldi as the Doctor. Because even though I did like him last series, he didn't seem to have much of a defining sort of personality beyond just kind of being grumpy. And when I say that, when I think back on other Doctors, I can just sort of pick simple phrases that like sort of encapsulates them in a nutshell. Tom Baker was the Bohemian. Christopher Eccleston was the wounded soldier. Matt Smith was the madman with a box. Patrick Troughton, cosmic hobo, etc., etc. There really wasn't a phrase that seemed to work for Capaldi's Doctor yet, based on what happened last series. Now, I know what he is. The man's a rock star. And I love that. I just feel like this is what I've been waiting for from Capaldi. Like I said, I've liked him up to this point, but I was waiting for that moment that makes me love him. And now I've gotten it. And there's just so many wonderful, clever lines in here when he takes Davros' chair, and then later, Davros making a joke, I got you the only other chair in Skaro. And of course, Missy's got some wonderful one-liners. I mean, there's great, funny moments that occur naturally thanks to the characters and never feels out of place. I think the only thing that maybe didn't work quite as well for me as it could have, and this is, I'm going to consider this nitpicky, but some of the Doctor's interactions with Davros, particularly when Davros really started playing on the Doctor's compassion, and like when he shut down that eye there and opened his real eyes, it wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. It felt a bit maudlin. It felt like overdoing it. Of course, by the time we get to the end, you realize, well, it was an act, so yes, it was overdone. So it fits, but it did feel a little bit drawn out in the moments that it was happening. Although that said, I really do like that Davros basically broadcasts what he's going to do by pointing out to the Doctor, your compassion will be your downfall. And yeah, he's right. Well, he would have been right had his plan not been foreseen by the Doctor, and the Doctor completely turned it around on him. And again, just in that wonderful, clever ways. Like, fine, I'll give you what you want. I'll give you regeneration energy. I mean, that's just a really cool resolution. And it does the sort of funny little dance that the Doctor tends to do when it comes to destroying Daleks, which he does frequently. Of course, we don't really like the Doctor to kill people, but the way they get around that is generally by the Doctor sabotaging their plans so that effectively these characters have killed themselves, which is again what happens here. The whole mercy thing might not have worked for me if Daleks saying mercy had not been a thing in previous episodes. And in case anybody forgot, this would go back to the Big Bang, where a Dalek asked for mercy from River Song. It didn't get it, but it did ask for it. So the Daleks having a concept and saying the word mercy is something we've already seen. And if it had not been for that little connection, I might not have completely bought into the whole mercy thing that the note ends on. But because of that, because they reach back and they make that connection to something, you go, yeah, you didn't just pull that completely out of your rear end. That is enough for me to buy it and to have it work. This is just a terrific episode. It sets things off on a terrific path. I love that he's now got the sunglasses instead of the sonic screwdriver. I mean, again, that's kind of the defining moment. I guess if I were to pick a single moment, he puts on the sunglasses and summons the TARDIS. Yeah. Rock star. So I think that's it for me on this one. This was great, and now I am even more pumped than I already was for the rest of this series. So for me, it took a series plus to get that defining moment of Capaldi for me to really start loving him. Did that happen for you in this episode? Have you had that fall in love with him moment yet? If you have, let me know what it is. If you haven't, what kind of thing might turn you around and get you to love this guy? Because I now officially do. Drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. And until next time, this council is adjourned.